Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the European crossover webinar. And we are seeing indices move up a little bit higher here. In early European trading, we had taken a dip yesterday late in the US close, but we are attempting to push a little bit higher here as we come into Thursday. Looking at data, the only data we had was Spanish unemployment, which came in minus 82,000. And we do have at the top of this next hour, Eurozone PPI. After that, not till the US session, where we get jobless claims, weekly jobless claims, export-import data, and non-productivity. Non-farm productivity, that'll be out at 8:30 Eastern, as will be Canadian building permits and export imports. And then at 10 a.m. Eastern, we'll have durables, US durables, and as well as factory orders at 10 a.m. Eastern. Take a look at gold. Gold hasn't gone anywhere. After that short covering move that we talked about, and we're just not getting anybody to buy into this at this time. Take a look at crude oil. What the hell? Okay, we're just up in the mid 68s. No big change there, though. I don't know what the hell's wrong with this thing. There we go. So no big change there. And Nasdaq continues to push up a little bit higher, as does S&Ps right here. We'll move on to we'll move on to FX. And the euros continue to move a little bit higher after a nice firm day yesterday. Pushing in towards, remember, we had the 1848, which it nicked it or came close to it. And then yesterday we actually went above it, but we closed below it. And we're back up here to that 1848. So sort of looking like it wants to push a little bit firmer beyond that 1848. If we were to move back up in here, I'm not sure that we'll come all the way that far, but you can see a pretty good, nice little level here. I guess we can go right there, which would be 1878. The real resistance would come all the way up to 1910. I'm not sure that we can get there so quickly. We can take a look at a 2-hour chart. Nothing really clear. Just don't know if it'll make it all the way there. We'll go with that 1878. Let's see, with support, for now, it has to be right there, 1797. And onto the cable. We're still not too far away from this 3809, which has pretty much kept this thing in check. And we're trading rather quietly anyway. So I'm going to keep this 3809 and keep the 3728. So no changes there. Moving on to the Aussie dollar. We did make it past the 73, 72. So we had right in there, but we've actually wasn't sure if we push all the way up in here. They're still motoring a little bit higher, really just more about some short covering. And that would be back to the key weekly level, which would be the 74. Actually, before, remember it being 74.27. We have it highlighted pretty thick. So we'll go with that. But that's a huge weekly level, 74.27, which will probably ride through tomorrow. And support, right there at 72.94. A ways off, but that was where it would come off. Onto the dollar yen. We're not really going anywhere. We had 1057. It did run out of gas up there. Was it 1041? And we've just kind of sat here. We're trading rather quietly, not really going anywhere. We'll keep the 1057 and 973 for going in through to tomorrow. And moving to the cash dollar index. We had 92.32, and actually it traded pretty quiet yesterday. Look at that. So we'll keep the 92.32, although we did say with the bearish engulfing really opened the door for them for 92.03. We may see that tomorrow, but for right now, we'll keep it at 92.32. The only difference is the upside. We're just going to keep that here because with tomorrow, if we trade quiet today, then obviously that would be the range we'll be looking at. And we'll go on and move now into Bitcoin. Not really getting much movement here in FX. Still. Taking a look at Bitcoin, we did get that dip down there at 46,412, and boy, did we've jumped up. I mean, yesterday we rallied, and now we've extended that. So this this market really has some juice still remaining behind it. And just when it looked like we might kind of quiet down a bit with that doji from last week, really this market's opening up to move higher. And that resistance would be 51,348. So let's go with 51,348. And support. We're going to keep it really tight. 49,823. And that takes us now into ES. FX, at least as far as these majors, is so quiet. There's just not a whole lot to go over. I think Blake himself said in the chat room, it's when we did the webinar, it's almost like doing tap dancing because there's just no movement. So taking a look at ES, we are getting a nice little rebound here. Pretty quick move, although it's, I mean, within reason, but I'm just saying nice little jump up in here. Initial resistance remains is 45.34, which isn't very far, and beyond that is going to be 45.38. So we are in a tight range. We'll go with the 45.38. And support. $45.16. Yeah, I guess we'll keep the 14. If we take that dip down, we can just get below 16, just hit that 14. So we'll stick with the 45.14 and then move it into Nasdaq. Resistance will be 15,655. We did make it to 15, I think 698. So it's probably as close as you could get there yesterday. And support. $15,566. Well, that's where we're at, $15,567. And moving on to the gold market. These markets are just not really going anywhere. No changes. Look at the gold. We're just stymied. So once again, as I said, you can make the case, 1834 is resistance. But once again, like I said, you can make jumps up in there, and that doesn't change anything. To me, it's still bearish until you get above 1865. So you can see here, we're not even moving. Gold is just about dead as a doornail. So 1665, 1865, 1794. And with that, we're going to move into the crude oil market. Like I said, many of these markets are just simply not even moving. And now even the indices are a bit restrained. There we go. And let's go move into the crude oil market. Well, we're back up here, and we're not even moving much either. We took a little bit of a dip, but the 67.95, that peak line, that held. And you can see here, we had that before. See right here. So it held, but we're still trading or trapped in a very, very tight range. Maybe the Hurricane Ida has still got a little bit of a concern. And why we're just not really making a real move on either side, actually. So things still remain the same, 69.59, 67.95, which held. And if it were to break lower, we'd be looking at 11. So no changes here. I mean, these markets are very, very quiet. And FX has been quiet for quite some time. Saw a little bit of movement in euro, but the other pairs have been relatively quiet. Bitcoin is offering a little bit here, as we start to push higher. And then right now, indices have gone a little bit quiet as of yesterday. We are seeing a little bit of a rebound here. Concern is, though, if we do see a strong payrolls report, which would seem likely, ADP has not been a good primer for NFP in many, many, many months. So if we do come in with another strong number, it's going to go on and spook the market. If it comes in weaker, obviously it's going to make it allowed to get a run. So we'll just have to see how this plays out for that. I'm not seeing anything else of any real significance across the board on these markets. As I mentioned here, Bitcoin, quick little jump up in here, and held that 46,412, pretty close, just barely missed it by less than $80, and then quite the run back. So no real changes whatsoever. As I mentioned, with the exception of euro, a little bit of a move, but cable, look how dead cable is, which is not really going anywhere. Look at that. Aussie Dollar, a little bit of a continued short covering because this market was so oversold. And lastly here, dollar yen. Hopefully, maybe once we get past NFP, that'll spark some movement in the dollar. And it may if we get a strong NFP. But I think that's what it's going to have to take in order for us to get some movement in that. And same thing here. I would have expected crude. I haven't done anything with crude since last week, but man, we're not even moving. We're just stymied. So that'll be it. I'll go and get the bias chart posted, but a very, very quiet morning for the most part. And we'll go and get that posted into the room. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar.